Hey, day 108, DynCorp Part 3, DynCorp Harvest. Sorry that last one got cut off. Don't know what happened. In the previous video, I said that DynCorp is flying these training flights with helicopters and planes all over the United States, mainly to these military bases, these small, you think they're closed, but they're still being used, or small municipal bases, that type of thing. And it's a plane helicopter combination. The reason why you want the helicopter is so that your vehicle's taking the contraband away. There's not a rat line going right up to the edge of the airport. Sometimes there is. I mean, sometimes they don't even bother. But or the other way, if you're harvesting, you can bring it in without a bunch of traffic going right to the airport. We're talking about hearts. We're talking about bringing these humans to the transplant centers in the U.S., where the live swaps are the best swaps that you can have in transplants. And we talked about Grange going to Chicago, and then I talked about Washington, D.C., and I misspoke. I didn't mean Johns Hopkins was where they were. I said they were training foreign doctors, and I believe they're training them just like they train on the hospital ships the military has control of. I believe they're training at Walter Reed Medical Center and here in Washington, D.C. And I believe it's reachable via tunnel. It's the Wisconsin tunnel, not the Constitution Avenue tunnel. And Comet Ping Pong's right along the way. Again, I don't think Comet Ping Pong is what everybody thinks it is. After you train these doctors, the problem is you have these shells, these bodies that don't have organs in them. And if you throw them, there's red bag waste, that they can burn these, incinerate them, but there's probably, you're not allowed to do that in Washington. And again, the CIA has this little kind of wink thing that they like to do. I say they just bring these bodies down in the tunnel and grind them like the mafia used to do, up in Green Bay for making whatever, spam or whatever it was, Alpo. And you could also train in that basement of Comet Pizza. It's a nice theater. The person's dead already. It doesn't matter if it's sterile or not. You can train in dissection. You can train, you can open the skull, look at the skull. There's still a lot of things you can do. You look at vasculature and muscles and so forth and kind of do a little bit of a training there. And then I don't know if they're going to actually grind the meat and put it in sausage. That'd be fairly macabre. But then you got the skeleton left over. And I say just to send the skeletons home with the student. One of the first things they give you in medical school is called the bag of bones, to learn your bones. So I think they use everything here but the oink, and that's why they don't need the Elephantis pig farm anymore. I think they probably in the old days fed them to the pigs, or maybe even recently. But the number one thing is you got to get rid of the bodies, because the bodies are evidence, and once those pop up, they really, as far as the press, they really report that stuff. They put them in graves before, but those graveyards get discovered as well. And then there's 200 bodies that there's no paperwork for, 200 skeletons there's no paperwork for, and they're all in a pile. So again, attracts a lot of attention. So anyway, I said before, I think Home and Square is going to be, McCormick Foundation is going to be where you're going to have your Slaughterhouse 1. And I think Comet Pizza is going to be your Slaughterhouse 2. Slaughterhouse meaning after the valuables are removed. With research, though, the bodies are getting more and more valuable, even for replacement of fingers and toes. I know it sounds, a little squeezy, but and the vasculature that can be recovered. So I think there's a lot of things that can be recovered out of the body at Comet before they finally make the pizza. And then cover-ups, there's been a lot of cover-ups dealing with the Navy and the scheduling and the Army scheduling. And Malvo, I don't know if you remember the DC shooter, but I think the fifth woman who was shot, I think she was maybe a talker. I can't remember, again, I don't think the CIA, I think they have tunnels. I don't think they wait in traffic during a nuclear exchange or a nuclear threat. They go by the tunnel. Aaron Alexis, I don't know if you remember, there was a shooting at the Brooklyn. I don't know which Navy yard it was. Maybe it was in Annapolis. Maybe it was in Brooklyn. But that's going to be the customer side. That's going to be the customer side of this. This is the supply side. And I don't know if you remember the Trump climber. He was from Vienna, believe, or Alexandria. Anyway, his dad was a Navy guy, and there was kind of an odd thing. It looked like a Navy adoptive family for this good-looking kid, and I don't know the details of that, but there was an apartment complex that was burned down here in Silver Spring, Maryland, which was odd. Like just with an explosion. Explosions, I always think, okay, CIA. And I can't remember exactly where, but that's where I think they were housing the Haitians or whatever, the prisoners, Haitian prisoners. I'm just looking logistically how close that is to Silver Spring. And I'm going to say they're going to be on the west side of Silver Spring, Maryland here. So, and let the research follow in on that. I'm not going to say too much more about Haiti other than I think you're going to have a lot more. We need to put the pins of the hotels. So a lot of people have given me those mapping software ideas, and so the next thing I'm going to ask everybody to do is help me with the pins on the hotels. And what you're going to have is layers. You're going to have a layer for hotels, and then you're going to have a layer for USAID, and then you're going to, various layers. And by turning layers on and off, you're going to be able to see correlations. Like Mirabai had, how many helicopter flights, how many ships, how many cruise ships went and left, and graphing that in a set of layers so that you can turn them on and turn them off and see relationships easier. Okay. That's GIS, Geographic Information Systems. So, Monica Peterson, we traced her to her school, Union School. I think it's time maybe, I've thought about going to Haiti on and off, and people have asked me not to go. But I think interviewing those teachers in her class at Union School is going to be the next big thing. And then here is another layer with Bill Swing and his vaccines and so forth. All we have to do is look at PPD's vaccines and the other vaccines, and then see which people are affected. So you could do random samples. Look at, for instance, the weakened immune system will be tied directly to a PPD vaccine, and then we can see who is, just the movement and flow. Exactly the same way Bill Swing does when he brings people in and so forth. It's the same thing to solve the puzzle. And remember, if I didn't have people in Haiti who were high-level government lawyers saying that as soon as the kids went in for cholera, they never saw them again, then I wouldn't be saying this. But I know how valuable that bone marrow is by itself. I'm sure that got harvested right away. They didn't wait for that. And I think there's going to be shells of bodies. Otherwise, if the organs couldn't be used, I think they go back to the CDC for slicing. So, I haven't really got Sammy's hotels. Here's Sammy with the import-export. I haven't got those down yet, but I'm working on it. So I'm just giving everybody an update on that. So here are the people that I think we're going to end up wanting to talk to. And all these people have social media accounts, and all these folks will have Twitter and so forth. And I think, French may be an obstacle, but I'm going to start trying to make contact with these people and say, do you remember Monica Peterson? Just to get stories out there on the internet and get a Facebook starting to go. And then I'd like to see, drill down a little bit more on this Sow a Seed Foundation and these hearts, and find out, if Eric Braverman knows Donna Karen, for instance, make those kind of connections. I don't mean Eric Braverman. Well, both. If Eric Braverman at the Clinton Foundation knows Donna Karen, that'd be interesting to know. And if Dr. Eric Braverman knows Donna Karen, that'd be interesting. Photos together, etc. So this is good old Yale anthropology, I think, solves this case, which is, Brickham, the guy who designed the Phoenix program in Vietnam. He designed all the institutions, everything, state, local. At that, in Vietnam, it was the provinces and the outer, I can't remember the cantons, whatever they called them. All government, police especially, to be constantly pressuring the person down, degrade, until you end up in one of General Grange's little loops here as a prisoner. keep building the case that the people, not soldiers, but the civilians, keep building the case that they are the enemy. And again, this is coming from the top. He wasn't a general then either. I'm not talking anything about the great people in the military or the great people that work for DynCorp that do all the maintenance and so forth. I think those jobs used to be military jobs where we had military plane mechanics and we had military folks who had taken an oath of office and, and a loyalty oath and so forth. And we didn't farm it all out to who knows who. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave this one short. If you want to read the book Conspirators, all this will become clearer. But this goes back, somebody said something about Lindbergh. Okay, so the Council on Foreign Relations, I think, goes back like, 1927 when Allen Dulles first got in there. Allen Dulles was very good friends with the investment firm of Harriman Brown Brothers. And so this Harriman Brown Brothers has been taking applications for covert actions all the way back to World War I. So this is nothing new. Allen Dulles, I think, was a member of that Harriman Brown Brothers firm. Now, the Lindbergh baby, yes, in 1932, the Harriman Brown Brothers wanted to industrialize. They wanted to crash Germany and then reindustrialize it. Same thing sort of that's happened to Haiti from an investment banker point of view. You crash the economy, they inflated the currency, or what they're doing to Venezuela. They crashed it, and then they come in and they buy up everything at pennies on the dollar, and then they rebuild the country. And Hitler was the guy they chose. Lindbergh was a reluctant PR guy. They wanted to use him because he had, anything Lindbergh stamped got the stamp of approval. So there's all sorts of things that Lindbergh didn't want to do, and then finally they killed his kid. And he acquiesced. He did the heart pump thing. He went to Europe. He did the whole program with the kids and so. But if you look at the pictures of Lindbergh, and the pictures of Goering and the pictures of Hitler, he's always kind of like looking down. He's kind of ashamed. So that's why I think Lindbergh's still very much an American hero. But the point I'm trying to make is that Brown Brothers Harriman and Cerbus Capital are really the same thing. It's just different names. So, okay, that's it.